Ah, yes. Nothing like curling up next to the fake fire with a copy of your favorite book and cuddling up on a cold winter's eve, especially when that's a book of pure evil. The Book of Cultimate. So join me around the fire if you dare, as we look deep into the darker side of Christmas. This year alone, there is an absurd number of Christmas horror movies being released. Christmas Sleigh, Black Christmas, The Night Billy Came Home, Sleigh Bells, All Through the House, Dismembering Christmas, and the only one that I actually want to see on this list, Krampus. Why this year in particular are there so many cashing in on the Xmas horror craze? I don't know, it's kind of weird. There's a pretty limited formula to these movies. Most revolve around subverting what we normally think of Christmas. Instead of tinsel and glad tidings, it's death and darkness. Usually they don't have much to offer beyond this initial concept, but there are a few that do it well and make for a really entertaining watch. So with that in mind, let's deck the halls with blood! One of this year's releases in the genre is A Christmas Horror Story. This anthology film explores many facets of Christmas, and it's actually not bad. Some of the stories and acting are just awful though. One short involving a changeling is by far the worst. It doesn't even fit in with the others, and is a real bore whenever we cut back to it. On the other hand, the story involving Santa having to defend the North Pole from his elven workers that have been turned into zombies is just as exciting and over the top as you'd hope for. Yeah, and this does that cut from one story to another thing like in Trick or Treat, but it's more of a hindrance in this case. It would have been better to separate the shorts so that you can skip right over the crappy ones. In Jack Frost, a chance encounter with a genetically modified liquid causes a serial killer to mutate into a snowman bent on revenge. The creators were clearly striving for that so bad it's good line with this movie, and while it doesn't always succeed, it is still amusingly stupid. The production is amateurish and the effects are severely lacking. The snowman looks awful. It's like they papier-mâchéed it 20 minutes before filming and covered it in Play-Doh. Good enough. And as perhaps to be expected in a movie about a killer snowman, the acting covers a wide range, from non-existent to hammier than Christmas dinner.
This one, you are gonna regret.
Christmas Evil is an odd duck of a movie. It kind of feels like a human drama with a Christmas backdrop. Our lead character, Harry, is more or less a nice guy. Even with a traumatic childhood experience, he still loves Christmas. Probably a little too much. And naturally that turns out to be the issue as he is pushed over the edge and starts to kill in the name of Christmas. The movie tries to slowly ramp up and give Harry an overwhelming reason to eventually lose it. It goes through the trouble of making the story seem plausible instead of completely over the top, which is pretty interesting, and the actor playing Harry does quite well. Then there is the end of the movie, where things suddenly go completely off the rails and calls the entirety of everything into question. But you'll have to check it out for yourself to decide. The original Black Christmas is often credited with creating the modern slasher, the Xmas horror subgenre, and the sorority slasher genre. Wow, so it must be good, right? Not really. Most of the violence is off screen, which I actually appreciate, but the rest of the movie is really slow and plotting. So how about the 2006 remake? Well, it kinda sucks too. The sorority girls are cuter at least. See, it goes the opposite way with the violence, cranking it to absurd levels. This was during the Saw days after all. Director James Wan had originally wanted the violence more subtle like in the original, but as it stands, it just makes the movie seem really tacky. I mean, killer icicles? Come on now. So I propose that we meld the best elements of the two into one satisfying Black Christmas film. Or maybe the new sequel this year will actually be the best one yet. I doubt it. In Danish film Saint, Santa is one evil son of a gun. In the opening, Santa and his battle elves rampage a small town, but the townspeople fight back and burn them up. And since then, every 23 years, Santa returns to kill all the people he deems naughty. He's like Freddy meets Santa. Kruger Claus. It's treated as a pretty straightforward horror film, with Santa portrayed as sort of an evil, cursed being more than what we would normally think of from the character. But the serious tone works and actually makes their version of Santa scary. Even his battle elves are pretty cool. The overall quality of the film is enhanced by a glossy contemporary look and tasteful heapings of well-done gore. I don't know what the guys were on that made elves, but it must have been some serious gear. This is the kind of movie that if the Mystery Science Theater guys got a hold of, they'd have a flippin' field day. It's that special kind of bad that doesn't come along very often. And this movie gets the award for quite possibly the most insane plot of all time. See, there's this nice normal girl, Kirsten, who lives with her loving old grandpa in the woods or something. But as it turns out, she is wanted in an evil Nazi experiment, i.e. breeding with summoned elves to create a race of supermen. Silly Nazis. The out there plot plus some charmingly bad practical effects makes Elves an experience that you'll cherish a lifetime. Rare Exports is another very well crafted foreign film like Saint that excels at creating its own kind of Christmas horror. It explores the idea of a real Santa Claus, but it does it a little more developed than others and with a fantasy edge. On a remote dig site, something is found deep in the earth contained in a block of ice, the real Santa. Of course, Santa gets loose, but there's more to the story than you'd expect. I like having the kid hero angle, and the kids do well enough not to be distracting. It's able to feel quite real despite the fantasy element, which makes the epic climax even more satisfying when it finally goes completely into fantasy. The 2012 entry Silent Night borrows liberally from others in the genre, but it successfully adds its own modern touch, meaning, you know, darker and more brutal kills. It stars friend of Swiftie, Jamie King, as a small-town deputy working to track down a murderer on Christmas Eve. It does well at keeping things fast-paced, and if things do start to sag, there's always another intense kill around the corner. The finale is actually pretty awesome, with Jamie facing off against the killer Santa wielding a flamethrower. Definitely my favorite modern Christmas slasher. Gremlins deserves a spot on this list for a number of reasons. It's weird because I used to never really think of it as a Christmas movie, but it is in fact one of the best in the genre. For those that don't know, Gremlins are mogwais, a mysterious kind of creature that are bound by some very nonsensical rules. When an adorable one of them known as Gizmo winds up in small-town America, it's only a matter of time before the rules are broken and a whole assortment of his nasty brethren wreak havoc. While considered a kids movie, Gizmo is so damn cute. It's got some really dark and scary shit in it too. Just that noise they use gives me the willies. And the fact that it can pull off both whimsy and terror so well is an impressive feat. This movie, along with Temple of Doom, is famously known for being responsible for creating the PG-13 rating. Leave it to Spielberg to push the boundaries of family entertainment. At number 1 is the granddaddy of them all, Silent Night, Deadly Night. This movie is the epitome of Xmas horror. In the opening of the movie, Billy sees his parents murdered by this gross guy dressed as Santa. The first time I saw this, I was shocked. It's actually pretty messed up and genuinely disturbing. No wonder Billy's so fucked in the head. The plot takes some time to get going as we catch up with teenage Billy, but once it does, it really goes all out and leads to some intense scenes and unforgettable deaths. Even the poster created a controversy at the time. It's Santa with an axe. Santa can't kill! Of course, the controversy made people want to see it even more. It's schlocky, but I'll be damned. It just works, and is the most obvious reference point for the genre. I mean, this shit got 3 sequels. 3! It's a bona fide franchise! Others might have come before it, but all stand in the shadow of Billy the Nutjob and a Santa suit. And as a special bonus for making it this far in the video, I present to you a dishonorable mention. Like I said, a lot of the movies in the genre are just plain bad, but the 1984 British slasher called Don't Open Till Christmas is on its own level of awful. It's one of the most disjointed films ever, and would give any film editor nightmares for life. I knew I was in for a rough time when in the opening credits I saw this. Additional scenes by, probably gonna feel like 2 separate movies mashed together with little regard to cohesion. And oh boy, I was right. Plot points jump from scene to scene with no understandable progression, and there's these endless droning telephone calls. But the biggest offender is every few minutes, there's another random scene involving the murder of someone dressed as Santa. These must be some of the scenes that were added to the movie later. How are we gonna make this thing 80 minutes? Random Santa killings! Like 10 of them! A few of the kills are pretty good, but it's definitely more monotonous than anything. The movie feels really cheap and is quite painful to sit through. In the end, it does make a few interesting choices, including subverting the genre tropes when it comes to the final survivors. After all that, if you're ready to face the fear yourself, I'm hosting this movie exclusively on my YouTube channel. Check it out if you want to. And that's it for my top 10 holiday horror films. What did you think of my list? Any of your favorites that I missed? Let me know in the comments below, or you can tweet me at FoundFlix. Also be sure to check out my playlist featuring films from my list for your frightful holiday viewing pleasure. Happy horror days, everyone.